Tom, let's listen into that.
The bravery, the advocacy, the militancy that the old journalists actually gave us as a legacy to say, this is what you need to do when you take over the baton in your writing, in your photographs. This is what you need to show the world. And I think a lot of us are still practicing the values of journalism that we learned from this picture. Today we gather here. It's a very sad day. We gather here to remember one of our own and to celebrate the meaning of his life in our life purpose as journalists. Welcome everybody, and I'm going to give over to Abu Rich to go on with the program.
Thank you. Thank you, Mapula. Anyway, thanks for the welcome. As she has said, that we are here to celebrate the life and times of Brasem, as many of you know him to be Brasem. When my Matata and I spoke about this memorial service, we didn't know how to go about doing it. But a thought came that maybe we should speak to the Sowetan, and of course the Sowetan also agreed that we should gather here today to celebrate his life. Unfortunately, the family cannot be here because, as you know, they live about 600 kilometers away from here in Bushbuckridge. But I've spoken to Tulani, who will be connecting with us in about 15 minutes to say something on behalf of the family. During the past 2 days, when we were trying to locate and find out and find the people who work with Brasem, it was quite interesting because I've spoken to about 10 people who worked with him, and many of them, unfortunately, cannot be here today for a number of reasons. One of them could be that they are busy eking out a living, and some of them are not well, and so on. For example, I spoke to Braden Tleketle, who was there in the car when the picture was taken. And when I asked him to relate the story, he just said to me, Rich, can you go to the TRC and check there what Sofitima said? Because Sofitima captured the story very well. And he mentioned many other names, including Bongani Mguni, Mofet Zungu, and many others who are not longer with us. But it was quite interesting. Then he also referred me to quite a number of people, including Brad Tom Koza. Is he here? Yes. Where? Yeah, I'm hoping that Brad Tom will get the courage to come and say something. And I also spoke to quite a number of other people like Bra Mike Mzileni, who also can't make it because his better half is not well. But what is interesting is that everyone spoke highly of Brasem. So let me kick this off by asking Obrajo Latahome, Brajo, where are you? To come and talk to us about journalism at that time. Then maybe if I can get someone who was a photographer at that time to talk to us about photography or photojournalism at that time. Prajo?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I was really very deeply saddened by the death of Nzima. not least because in October last year, when we were commemorating Black Wednesday, we sat together, we chatted, and Sam said to me, "Why don't you guys want to come around and see where I live and what I'm doing in the community?" I undertook. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I undertook to do that. I looked forward to a visit in the rural area and the hospitality that I would no doubt have got from Sam Nzima and his family. I'm so very sorry. And I know it must be very difficult for his family, but also for all those who knew and loved Sam. And I'm sure all of them will have Sam in their minds and the family in their minds. You probably will hear repeatedly that Sam was a kind soul, an affable lad. And I call him lad despite the fact that he often reminded me that I was just a small boy and I needed to respect him. There are those who know Sam as the guy who took the June 16th photograph of Hector Pieterson. And then there are those who knew Sam. He deeply loved his country. He deeply loved his people. To some extent, a traditionalist, and the respect that he grew up in rural areas with. Time magazine acknowledged the photograph of Hector Pieterson that Sam took as one of the top 100 most influential images of all time. And I think it's important for us to reflect on that. That wasn't the only photograph that was taken. There are lots more which were the page 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 1,000 pages of photographs about June 16. All of them collectively recording the events of that day, the day that shaped our history, the day that began the end of apartheid. There'll be many journalists who worked with him in the newsrooms of the World and Weekend World. They'll remember him for his wry smile as he went about his business. Whether it be arguing for the use of his social pictures. Now, social pictures was one of his favorite pastimes. But of course, he also had the responsibility to take the serious hard news pictures. Of course, everyone remembers Sam Nzima and Sophie Tema. They were the face of the story about Hector Pieterson. But who drove the car and had the courage to duck around and drive past obstacles in order for Sam to get that photograph? Many of you don't know. But Tom Khoza was actually a man who braved all of those obstacles and made it possible for Sam to get this iconic picture. But of course, he's never been acknowledged, and I would like to do so now. There is this little matter that we often forget that working as a journalist is really a matter of working as a team. A man as humble as Sam will always be remembered by those of us who knew him. And although we'll miss him, we'll miss his smile, we'll miss his jokes, dry as they might be. They will all linger on, but we do take consolation in the good feelings of our memories. He was quiet, he was modest and thoughtful. And I'm not saying this only because he has passed on. I worked with him for long enough to know that this is so. I remember the days back in the day, as the saying goes, very well indeed. There was Moffat Zungu. There was Harold Figlan, Ronnie Quay, Sam Nzima, Len Kumalo, all of them, Dan Tleketle, all of them photographers who all loved their job, who loved their craft, who spent hours in the dark room looking for that great shot. All of them crafted our history through their pictures, telling the stories of the township, from floggings by Sofasonke Mpanza in Orlando East, to church services of Manku in Everton, all of that. I remember when the police disputed the figures we reported on the casualties during June 16 and subsequent days. Moffat Zungu urged all of them, all the photographers, to take pictures of all the bodies that they saw in the streets. And if we report and the police dispute it, we produce the photographs.
Okay.
And of course, they accused us of having staged those photographs.
All right, well, live visuals coming through for us from Parktown for the memorial service for legendary photographer Sam Nzima. We'll continue to dip in and out of that for you throughout the afternoon. Sam Nzima passed away last week, and his provincial funeral will be held on a Saturday. So do stay with us. We'll take a short break. I'll be back at the top of the hour with your news at 1.